The following video was recorded by the home security camera of a woman named Carla, who for several weeks had been noticing a pattern she couldn't ignore. Every night at around 10 p.m., her dogs would begin barking in the same direction, reacting as if something was there even though she couldn't see anything herself. At first, it seemed like one of those things you explain away, maybe a stray animal, a passing shadow, or something just outside the camera's range, but the consistency of it happening at the exact same time every night made it harder to dismiss. Eventually, she decided to go back and review the footage during one of those moments, hoping to finally understand what had been triggering her dog's watch. As the footage plays, something unusual begins to move, and at first glance, its shape and motion are unclear enough that her immediate thought was that it could be something like a UFO or an unusual light anomaly passing by. However, as it continues moving, the form becomes more defined, and what starts to emerge looks far more structured than a simple light, taking on the outline of a full human body, complete with what appears to be a face, before it passes out of view. After sharing the clip, the reactions she received were anything but ordinary, with some viewers suggesting that what was captured could be a demonic presence or even a fallen angel. There are also those who approach it from a different angle, suggesting that what appears in the footage could be something mimicking human form without actually being human, which would explain why it initially looks undefined before becoming clear as it moves. So, what exactly was caught on Carla's camera that night? A trick of light? Something explainable that only looks strange on video, or something moving through her property that isn't supposed to be there at all? You decide. Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, then you'll definitely recognize this house. The 263-year-old colonial home, known for its eerie attic and its deeply unsettling collection of dolls, has built a reputation over time that many viewers now describe as one of the scariest houses in America. And once you look into the history of what's been happening there, it becomes easier to understand why. Over the years, the owners have documented a wide range of unexplained activity, including shadowy apparitions moving from room to room, the sound of heavy footsteps echoing through the house when no one else is inside, disembodied voices that seem to come from nowhere in particular, and even their cat reacting in ways that suggest it is tracking something invisible as it moves through the space. One night this was captured on camera.
My phone just started dying and the notification did scare the shit out of me. Just did my skincare. And I am going back downstairs.
In the footage, the light inside the bathroom begins flickering, but what unsettles many viewers is the timing, because the moment she walks into the bathroom, the flickering stops completely, as if whatever was affecting the light suddenly ceased the second it was no longer alone. Another thing that truly made people uncomfortable came later, when one viewer pointed something out that others hadn't initially noticed. A face, caught for a brief moment. With everything that's already been reported in this house, it becomes difficult not to question every detail. Because when a place already has a history of movement, voices, and unexplained reactions from both people and animals, even the smallest visual anomaly starts to feel significant. For now, this one remains unsolved. In this next video, a security guard working at an Aurora store shares a series of experiences that have gradually turned his routine night shifts into something far more unsettling than anyone would expect from a retail environment. What should have been a quiet job, mostly consisting of walking the aisles, checking doors, and making sure everything is in place, has instead become a pattern of strange occurrences that seem to follow him throughout the store. One day, while still on duty, he hears a strange noise coming from one of the aisles, something distinct enough to make him stop and investigate rather than dismiss it. Watch.
Otra vez están escuchando ruidos. Estaba aquí haciendo el recorrido, pero escuché un ruido aquí adentro. No sé si estaba crujiendo algo o no sé si... No sé. Qué raro. Ya no sé realmente qué hacer. Todo me extraña de este lado. Ya no sé qué hacer. Ya realmente no sé qué es lo que voy a hacer. Ya no entiendo ni qué es lo que está... ¿Qué cojones? No mames. Sácate a la verga, al chile, pinche mamada. Su puta madre. ¿Qué es eso? ¿Hay alguien ahí? ¿Qué es eso? ¿Qué se ve ahí al fondo? Oh, no mames.
From that point on, his shifts seem to revolve around trying to make sense of what is causing these disturbances, as he moves through the store, checking corners, scanning aisles, and responding to sounds that never seem to have a clear source. In another video he shared, viewers finally notice something. Watch.
Se asomó y la verdad me da mucho miedo estar viniendo a asomarme para acá. ¿Qué es eso? Se está moviendo el carro. Soy yo, se está moviendo esa mierda. No mames, se está moviendo. ¿Qué mierda pasa aquí? ¿Qué mierda está pasando? Se está moviendo esa porquería. No te muevas, no te muevas. No, 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 no.
This time, it is not just the trolley moving on its own that draws attention, but a figure that appears briefly, positioned in a way that suggests it is watching him rather than simply passing through. What surprised many people, however, was his response when asked whether this only happens at night, because according to him, the activity does not follow a schedule. This is what his day at work looks like.
Desde hace rato se ve como que esa cinta se está moviendo. Y la verdad ya me está dando como un poco de miedo porque por todo lo que ha estado pasando ya ni sé qué realmente es lo que voy a hacer. Ya nada más me pongo yo mismo nervioso, ya no sé qué es lo que pasa aquí. No mames. Otra vez no, otra vez no, otra vez no, otra vez no, otra vez no. Ya, por favor, ya que ya no pasen estas cosas. De que me está dando un chingo de mí. No mames, no, sácate a la verga ya. No mames, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué me pasan estas cosas a mí? ¿Por qué? Ya no quiero que me pase nada de esto, por favor. Ya no sé ni a dónde mierda esconderme. No mames, ya.
Even during the day, when the store should feel more active and grounded, there are still moments where objects move in ways that don't make sense, creating the impression that whatever is present does not rely on darkness or isolation to exist. But until more updates are shared, this remains unsolved. The following video was recorded by a man named Rody, who, at this point, has gone weeks without a proper night's sleep, all because of a persistent knocking sound that begins late at night and continues for hours without stopping. It isn't occasional or random, but something that happens every single night with enough consistency to wear him down, forcing him to lie awake listening to a sound he cannot trace or explain. After enduring this for over a month, he finally decides to confront it, even though it means stepping outside his house at around 3 a.m. and walking toward the exact area where the knocking always seems to come from. Watch.
Chicos, yo voy a filmar esto porque después me dicen que es mentira. Ustedes escuchan ese ruido, ¿no? Porque... Pará, no puede ser. Quiero que vean la hora que es de la mañana. Hace un frío afuera. Quiero que vean. Ay, de acá viene el ruido, desde hoy lo estoy escuchando. Miren, acá está el asador, el pasillo. ¿Qué? ¡Ey! ¿Qué carajo, boludo? Quiero que vean. Porque posta no se dejan de escuchar esos ruidos desde mi pieza, boludo. Nah.
As he records, something briefly appears near the fence line, peeking before quickly pulling back as if it has been noticed. The movement is fast, but clear enough to suggest something moving in the dark. What makes this moment harder to dismiss is the lack of any follow-up sound, because if that had been a person running away, there should have been footsteps, some indication of movement across the ground, but there is nothing. But that isn't the only detail that stands out. At another point in the footage, the swing nearby can be seen moving. If it were the wind, you would expect the surrounding plants to move with the same intensity or rhythm, yet they remain relatively still, while the swing continues moving like someone had been sitting there moments before getting up. So if something was at the fence and something was moving the swing, could those two moments be connected? You decide. This next video was captured by a CCTV camera inside a beauty center, but what makes this situation unusual starts long before the footage itself. The owners didn't install cameras for security in the usual sense because nothing was being stolen. Instead, every morning when they opened the shop, they kept finding things out of place, products rearranged, tools moved, and at times items scattered in ways that didn't match how the place had been left the night before. At first, it seemed like something that could be explained, maybe someone forgetting how things were arranged, or a simple oversight, but the consistency of it happening made them question whether something else was going on. Eventually, they decided to install cameras, not to catch a thief, but to understand what was changing their space overnight, and this is what they caught. Watch. In the footage, a door that had been newly fixed and firmly secured begins slamming repeatedly. Then there is the detail that unsettles many people the most, because later in the footage, a dark, fog-like presence can be seen forming within view. Now, before jumping to any conclusions, there is one important detail about the location itself. This beauty shop sits directly in front of a funeral home, and while that may not mean anything on its own, some people believe that places connected to death, grief, and constant emotional energy can sometimes influence nearby environments, especially if there is something lingering or unsettled. The idea that whatever passes through or remains in one place could extend beyond its boundaries is something often brought up in cases like this. And when a place shows signs of movement, disturbance, and something that visually appears and lingers, it creates a situation that is difficult to reduce to coincidence alone, because if nothing is being stolen, and everything is simply being moved, then the question becomes harder to ignore. What is still coming into that shop after closing time? And why does it keep rearranging everything like it belongs there? In this next clip, a woman captures something unusual happening right inside her kitchen, and according to her, if not for the camera, her partner would never have believed that something else might be sharing their space with them. For a while, she had been noticing strange disturbances around the house, including the sound of plates breaking, objects scattering, and items ending up in places no one remembers putting them. At first, it was easy to assume it was the children, or simple accidents that happen in a busy home. But over time, the frequency of these activities made that explanation harder to hold on to. So they installed cameras. Have a look. In the footage, a cup suddenly falls, not tipping slowly or sliding off the edge, but dropping in a way that immediately feels off, as though it had been pushed rather than lost its balance. What makes this moment more unsettling is something else that was revealed. Watch. In this clip, there is a movement that is clear enough to raise questions, especially when paired with the earlier moment of the cup falling. After she shared the video, not everyone was convinced. Some people argued that the movement and the falling cup were unrelated, suggesting that the cup may have simply slipped due to balance or surface conditions, and that what was seen later could be coincidental or misinterpreted. But she responded with another clip. Watch.
Aquí fue donde se cayó el vaso. Roberto está intentando recrear la situación porque dice que es mentira, que había agua y que el vaso se resbaló. Pero no lo
logré.
Sí, pero con qué velocidad lo estás aventando. En el video no es la misma velocidad.
Claro, en el video.
Y está alto, o sea. Y cae hasta.
In this final moment, the positioning of the cup and the surface it was on makes it difficult to explain how it could have slipped on its own. So if the cup didn't slip, then something made it fall. And if something made it fall, then it means they are not the only ones in that house. For now, this one remains unsolved. The following clip was recorded by Kyle, and if you've been following this channel for a while, then you already know he's no stranger to strange activity. Over the past few years, Kyle has dealt with more than his fair share of unexplained moments inside his home. But this year started off unusually quiet. Well, that didn't last. It began with the sound of children giggling, first in the attic, then the basement. Now, whatever is in the house seems to have moved again, this time to the utility room in his garage. Kyle says he's been hearing loud bangs, noticing lights flickering, and every time the noise suddenly stops, he feels compelled to check it out. And this is what he keeps finding. Watch.
What the hell? was up there. So was this. What the fuck? I mean, there's no animal in here. I'm scared out of my mind. I was in the kitchen. I just started hearing the craziest commotion out here in the garage, and this is the result. There's no raccoon in here or anything. I mean, there's nothing that could have done this.
Whenever Kyle opens the door, the room is in complete disarray. Items scattered, things knocked over, yet there's no one there. At first, Kyle wondered if it could be an animal, but that theory quickly falls apart. What kind of animal could create that level of mess, reach those heights, and still leave no signs behind? And animals don't usually cause electrical interference, so why was the light flickering? Until Kyle shares more updates about what's happening in his home, and whether the activity spreads even further, this situation remains completely unsolved. This next video is about a woman named Jennifer, who owns a beautiful historic home dating all the way back to 1907, filled with antique pieces that go as far back as 1903. At first glance, the house looks warm, elegant, and full of character, but not long after moving in, Jennifer began experiencing things she couldn't explain, things that slowly became impossible to ignore. She started hearing footsteps when no one else was around, faint whispering, objects shifting on their own, and shadows moving just outside her field of vision. What makes this even more unsettling is what Jennifer later discovered. After speaking with a local historian, she learned that when the house was built, there were no nearby hospitals, and it's believed that at least 4 people died inside the home. Deaths that likely occurred under stressful, emotional circumstances, the kind many believe can leave a lasting imprint on a place. And based on Jennifer's previous clips, a lot of viewers already suspected the house itself was the source. One evening, just as Jennifer was about to sit down for dinner, when she suddenly started hearing strange noises coming from inside the house. Watch.
Hearing a few things. It's like 4:45, so I'm just gonna listen and see if I can catch anything. Okay, I thought I just heard music. I want to go up on this landing and see if I can hear it better. Okay, well, listen up here. I seriously feel like I'm hearing people like have a conversation. No one's here but me. Oh my gosh. I'm hearing movement. Down there. And then I heard something up here. Do you hear that? It sounds like music. Well, it's the usual dinner time activity. I'm gonna play it back and see if I caught anything.
What makes this clip so disturbing is how much people claim they heard. Some say there's soft humming, others hear a loud knock, while many insist they can clearly make out a man's voice saying, "I'm fine." A few even believe they hear faint music, and the most chilling part, none of these sounds appear to have a clear source. After watching the clip, people couldn't agree on one explanation, only that something about it doesn't feel right. What did you hear? And do you think this house is holding on to the past, or something inside it becoming aware of the people living there now? The following video was captured by a man who has repeatedly mentioned that it's not his house that's haunted, and honestly, you can't blame anyone for thinking otherwise. He shared disturbing experiences for months, waking up in the middle of the night feeling like something is choking him, pressing down on his neck. His cameras have recorded violent growling voices, sudden aggressive slams, and sounds that feel angry rather than curious. To anyone watching, it all screams one thing: a haunted house. But then something happened that changed everything. Hoping to get some peace, he decided to take a short vacation and sleep at a hotel, completely away from his home. Before going to bed that night, he set up his camera, just in case, and something did happen. Watch. The curtains moving weren't the most unsettling part of the footage. If you look closely, you'll notice a dark shadow moving across the room, pacing back and forth. Seeing this made him believe he wasn't dealing with a simple haunting anymore, but an attachment. And given how violent and aggressive the activity has been, many believe it could be something far darker. Some even suggest a demonic presence, especially considering the physical attacks and the way it appears during his most vulnerable moments, when he's asleep. So is this proof that something has attached itself to him, or is there another explanation people are overlooking? You decide. In this next video, a man had been home alone for about 4 hours when he suddenly heard a voice calling out to him. A voice that sounded exactly like his mother's. The problem? His mom wasn't home, so who was talking? Watch closely. Whatever was outside wasn't just calling randomly. It was trying to get him to respond, or worse, open the door. But instead of answering, he knew what to do and stayed completely silent. When it comes to encounters like this, knowing what not to do is everything. People familiar with mimics say they often start by using a trusted voice, a parent, a partner, someone you'd never ignore. And if that doesn't work, they switch tactics. In this case, the voice suddenly changed, morphing into something far more distorted and terrifying. The calm voice is the bait. The aggressive tone comes when it realizes fear is the only tool left. The goal is to provoke a reaction, any reaction, because once you respond, some believe you've given it exactly what it wants. That's why the #1 rule with suspected mimics is this: do not answer, do not open doors, do not engage, no asking questions or trying to confirm who it is. Silence is protection. If you've ever had an experience with something calling your name when no one was there, now's the time to share. Now, in this next video, a guy named Nate has been dealing with increasingly disturbing activity inside his home. At first, it only happened at night, objects flying across his kitchen, including a knife, something repeatedly peeking from his basement, and his dog refusing to go anywhere near certain parts of the house. But now, it's no longer confined to the dark. Watch closely.
I keep hearing walking going on in the dining room. Sound like at one point it was going up the stairs, then to the kitchen or the basement, but there's literally no. Holy Jesus. Did you see it? Where'd it go? Where is it? I keep hearing these steps. All right, that one just jumped up. That one just jumped up.
In paranormal cases, unexplained footsteps are often believed to be a sign of manifestation. Combined with the earlier knife incident, the persistent peeking, and his dog's refusal to enter certain areas, many viewers believe the activity is escalating rather than fading. So until more updates are shared, Nate's situation remains deeply unsettling and completely unsolved. The following video was recorded by a woman who says she had been seeing a shadowy figure moving through her house all morning. At first, she ignored it, watching it pass from room to room, never fully revealing itself. But after hours of this, curiosity got the better of her. She decided to follow it. Watch what happened next.
What is doing that? Yeah, are you playing music for me? Are you going to do it again? Yeah, thank you. I love your music. You can keep playing. You gonna do some more? The funny thing is, I have been seeing your shadow walking around all day, and now you want to play music? Can you do one more tune? Goodbye. Thank you.
What disturbed people the most wasn't the sound, it was her reaction. That level of comfort made many viewers uneasy. Some speculate the figure she followed was trying to lead her somewhere. Others believe the spirit used the keyboard, a child's toy, to communicate in the safest way it could. And a more troubling theory suggests something else entirely, that whatever is in the house no longer needs to, but I'll leave you to be the judge of this one. In this next video, a group of men decided to explore what they believed was just another abandoned house. For the first few minutes, everything seemed ordinary. Crumbling walls, broken furniture, fragments of a life that had clearly been left behind years ago. But that illusion didn't last long. Watch closely.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah. Allah, la ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin, la ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin.
The moment this happened, they started praying. Across many cultures and belief systems, prayer is believed to act as a form of spiritual protection, not because it removes danger instantly, but because it creates a barrier. A way of grounding oneself, calling for protection, and rejecting whatever presence may be trying to intimidate or attach itself, especially in situations where the intention of the entity is unknown. Now, to the part many people forget, abandoned places aren't always empty. Some are simply forgotten, others are believed to be cursed, or worse, occupied by something that never left. Now, in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his investigation inside the infamous Boyd house. This time, his focus shifts to something even more unsettling: the possibility that the spirits of Fred and Minnie's children may still be present. Earlier in the investigation, Ian captured what sounded like a child's voice, and now he wants answers. Watch closely.
Are you hiding? You don't have to be afraid. I bet I can find you. You playing hide and seek? Show me your hiding spot. Show me where you are. Whoa, whoa. Dude. I think I just caught something. Over there. Behind the camera. Let me take another one. Oh my gosh, dude, and it's gone. Dude, something just appeared right over here. Hello? That was weird. Yeah, and it's completely gone. I'm not catching anything else. Oh, dude, that was so cool. It looked like a type of small mist figure by the window, and it was short like a little kid.
Near the window, a small mist-like figure begins to form. It's low to the ground, much shorter than an adult, almost child-sized, and at first it looks like nothing more than a faint cloud. But when the footage is examined more closely, something disturbing starts to appear. You can make out what looks like two eyes, a nose, and a mouth forming within the mist. Ian decides to try again, repositioning himself and raising the camera, hoping to see if the figure will reappear, but something else happens. Watch.
It's okay. I think I found your hiding spot. You're hiding behind my tripod. Could you appear like that again? I'm gonna take another one. Dude, they were literally standing, like right here. Right in this area. Oh my gosh. Whoa. Okay. Oh my god, dude. That scared me. There was a loud thumping sound. Okay. I hear you. It's draining my camera too. I literally just put a new battery in. Look at that. It's already draining. Battery. That definitely makes a lot of sense.
Many investigators believe that spirits, especially residual or intelligent ones, draw energy from electronic devices in order to manifest. Cameras die, batteries drop without warning, and equipment shuts down at the worst possible moment. Whether what Ian captured was one of the Boyd children, or something else entirely trying to present itself as one, remains unclear. But that house is anything but empty. For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. In the following video, a woman was simply recording what should have been a peaceful moment. A waterfall deep in Brazil, surrounded by nature. Nothing unusual, just a calm scene meant to capture the beauty of the place. But her camera caught something else. Watch closely.
Queda d'água. Muita água. Muita força. Uhul! Ih, caraca! Tem uma coisa ali. Caraca, apareceu um cara ali no meio da água. Mozinho! Mozinho, você viu o cara no meio da água? Caraca! Ali, mozinho!
For just a brief moment, a dark, shadowy figure appears to rise from within the waterfall itself, before suddenly vanishing back into the rushing falls as if it was never there. Viewers have slowed the footage frame by frame, and the shape is hard to ignore. To this day, no clear explanation has been able to fully account for what was captured. Some believe this could be a jinn, entities said to inhabit wild, untouched places like forests, rivers, and waterfalls, especially in parts of the world where such stories have existed for centuries. Others suggest it may be a duende, a folkloric being often linked to natural environments in South America. There are also those who think it could be something even stranger, a being briefly slipping through from another dimension, visible only for seconds before disappearing. Skeptics argue shadows, water flow, or camera artifacts. But what makes this clip unsettling is how distinct the figure appears and how deliberately it seems to move. So, what do you think this really was? A ghost tied to the land? A jinn drawn to the water? A duende watching from the falls? Or something else entirely? Now, this next video was recorded by a man who's slowly running out of explanations. For weeks, his young son has been insisting that there's someone in the house with them. At first, it was easy to dismiss. A child's imagination, shadows on the wall, toys left in the wrong place. The father brushed it off, telling his son that whatever he thought he was seeing was all in his head. But the claims didn't stop. The boy started talking to empty corners of the room. He'd pause mid-play, stare, and wave as if someone had just passed by. Sometimes he'd laugh, other times he'd go completely quiet, listening to something only he could hear. One night, just as they were about to go to sleep, the boy became visibly unsettled. Have a look.
कहाँ बैठा हुआ है कौन बैठा हुआ है यही मैं बाहर चला गया कौन है कौन ये कैसा दिखता है इसको बुलाओ इधर बुलाओ इसको बुलाओ इसको कहा क्या है यहाँ पे कुछ भी तो नहीं है क्यों अर्थ कर रहा है मैंने अकेले सोना होता है मतलब बुलाओ इसको इससे बात करें इसको बुलाओ इसको मुझे बात करनी है तुमसे है लड़की है लड़का है ये जिससे बात कर रहे हो ये लड़की है कि लड़का है
Watching the footage back, the father still wasn't sure what to make of it. He couldn't see anything obvious, so he shared the video online, hoping that maybe someone else would notice what he couldn't. Because at this point, the situation was starting to bother him. Not just because of what his son claimed to see, but because of how consistent those claims had become. Many people say you should never tell a child they're lying when they insist they see something, especially when their fear doesn't fade and their reactions don't change. Some believe children are more sensitive to things adults no longer notice. So what do you see in the video? And more importantly, how should he handle it the next time his son says he's still here? In November 2019, a young man decided to explore an abandoned 22-story building and livestream the experience. At first, everything felt routine. Dark hallways, peeling paint, the usual eerie silence that comes with places long forgotten. But things changed when he reached the 10th floor. As he angled his camera down the stairwell for just a moment, it looked like someone dressed in black was moving up the stairs toward him. Not walking, but climbing at an unnaturally fast pace. Have a look. At first glance, you might think it's just another person, but based on the distance covered in about 7 seconds, that's an extreme speed. Even trained athletes would struggle to move that fast in a confined stairwell. and then there's the sound. As the figure approaches, a low, aggressive growling can be heard in the audio. Later, people claim that his phone was found higher up the stairwell, still recording, even though the man himself was nowhere nearby. Eventually, he was confirmed to be physically safe, but according to those who spoke with him afterward, he was too shaken to give a clear explanation of what happened inside that building. So, what do you think really happened? A terrifying misunderstanding or something far worse? Let me know your thoughts on this one. In this next video, Kyle, someone who's already dealt with one strange incident after another, is still trying to figure out what, if anything, connects all of it. Just when things seemed to calm down and the activity finally stopped, a new puzzle surfaced. Listen closely.
Listen to this and tell me if you hear a kid running around inside my attic. You hear that? Things have been quiet for like weeks now, and then all of a sudden it's just a ruckus in the attic, like constant. Listen. Isn't that wild? It sounds like a kid is running around up there. And I promise I do not have a child in my attic. It's just crazy. Yeah, things have been really quiet lately. I thought maybe it had all stopped. That's why I haven't been posting. But I guess we're back with a vengeance in 2026.
What makes this unsettling is how much it sounds like children running back and forth inside his attic. What makes it worse is the timing. Kyle says he'd finally had several quiet days. No disturbances, no strange sounds, nothing to suggest whatever had been bothering him was still around. He started to believe the activity had passed, that maybe it really was over. And then this happens. Some believe that when things go quiet, it isn't because whatever's there is gone, but because it's waiting. Others speculate that attic spaces often act as focal points, places where sounds manifest more clearly, or where something chooses to stay out of sight. Kyle is hoping this was a one-off incident, but after everything he's already experienced, it's not something he's willing to bet on. Now, in this next clip, Nate is home alone when he notices something peeking out from his basement. At first, it's subtle, easy to dismiss as shadows or his eyes playing tricks on him. But the feeling sticks with him long enough that he decides to grab his camera and record. This is what he captured.
Guys, check it out. Something was peeking. Right out. From the basement. I wanted to see if we can catch it. The end of it. But it was like right by the bed. What the fuck? This has been the third morning in a row. Like clockwork. I might have to look back, but it might be around the same times as well. I don't understand. There's nothing. And then I was hearing steps coming down those stairs, but there's nothing. Guys. I don't know, guys. Maybe we can try. What was that?
Forget whatever was peeking out for a moment. What immediately unsettles viewers is the whispering. Some people claim they can make out words, while others say it's just incoherent murmuring. What makes this harder to ignore is that Nate says the peeking hadn't been a one-time thing. He claims it's been happening almost every morning for several days, always from the same spot. But one night, Nate is home watching a game when he notices the peeking again. This time, it didn't just peek. Watch closely.
Alright guys, please tell me you saw. Whatever keeps peeking out from there. Did it. I'm literally just sitting here watching the game. Wife will be home in about a half hour, so I was just waiting with the pup. And I saw. Nothing, like always. Never anything. Nothing down there. Just bags of returnables and hoodies. What the fuck? Okay. At least it's not a knife, I guess. Jesus Christ.
Now objects are being thrown. The energy feels different, more aggressive, more urgent. But once again, what disturbs people the most is the whispering. Viewers who compared both clips say it sounds like the same voice from the first video. There's a theory circulating online that whatever is in the house may be the spirit of a woman, something trapped, unable to move on, attempting to communicate the only way it knows how. Some believe the whispers aren't meant to frighten, but to get attention. Others strongly disagree, arguing that throwing objects and hiding in shadows isn't a cry for help, it's a warning. But until Nate provides more updates, there's no way to know which interpretation is right. So for now, this case remains unsolved. In the following video, a man believes he's dealing with a mimic, and according to him, whatever it is seems to be getting bolder every time it appears. He says the hardest part isn't just hearing the voices, it's when it chooses to act. Around 3 a.m., watch what happened. This time, the voice sounds exactly like his mother. After this clip surfaced, one question kept coming up again and again, and you may have noticed the pattern too. Why do mimics almost always ask to be let in? Folklore across multiple cultures shares the same idea. Mimics, whether they're thought to be spirits, entities, or something else entirely, aren't believed to have free access. Instead, they rely on invitation. Asking to be let in isn't about manners, it's about permission. Once acknowledged, responded to, or welcomed, they're believed to gain stronger influence, sometimes attaching themselves to a place, a person, or both. That's why the voices often sound familiar, trusted, and safe. Because the goal isn't fear, it's consent. As for how people claim to deal with mimics, opinions are split. Some believe the worst thing you can do is respond at all. No talking back, no opening doors, no acknowledging the voice. Others suggest grounding the space by keeping lights on, removing reflective surfaces near doors, or placing physical barriers like salt lines or iron objects, believed in folklore to disrupt whatever is trying to cross over. But many say confrontation is the solution. So the question is, would you open the door or stay silent and hope it goes away? Either way, this is one encounter most people hope they never experience. Now in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his solo investigation at the infamous Squirrel Cage Jail, officially known as the Pottawatomie County Jail in Iowa. This time, his final stop is one of the most unsettling locations in the entire building, Jake Bird's cell. Jake Bird was a convicted serial killer, often referred to as the Bluebeard of Tacoma, and is surrounded by one of the darkest reputations tied to this jail. What makes his story even more disturbing is the so-called Jake Bird curse, a legend claiming that several officials connected to his trial and execution later suffered sudden deaths or misfortune. When Ian steps into Jake Bird's cell, the first thing that immediately stands out is Jake's axe, displayed nearby. According to local history and long-standing accounts, an axe like this was linked to Jake Bird's crimes and is now kept as a reminder of the brutality tied to his name. To see if Jake Bird's presence still lingers, Ian decides to conduct a spirit box session inside the cell. Watch closely.
Are you here with me? You said summon. I heard summon. Who am I speaking with? Jake Bird. Jake Bird, it just said Jake Bird. That was so clear.
Not long after the session, Ian starts feeling unwell. But before he could leave, something else happened. Watch.
I'm starting to feel really lightheaded. Out of it. And I'm feeling really nauseous too.
Oh, holy f***. I swear to God, I just see the shadow. It went into the bunk bed where the axe is. Oh God, I really don't want to go back in there. I'm sorry if I offended you, Jake Bird. I didn't mean to. I'm just gonna retrieve my spirit box. Don't mind me. Oh God. I don't want to be in that cell anymore.
At that moment, Ian didn't hesitate. He ends the session and leaves the area entirely. For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following video is about a family and the terrifying pace at which the strange activity inside their home has been escalating, turning what was once a normal living space into somewhere they no longer feel safe being alone. It all began one afternoon when the wife was home alone. Her husband had already left for work, and she had fallen asleep on a chair in the living room. She suddenly woke up coughing violently, her throat burning, and as she caught her breath, she noticed a smell filling the air. Thick, sour, and unmistakable. The smell of rotten eggs. At first, she assumed it was something ordinary, maybe spoiled food, a gas leak, or something left in the trash. She searched the kitchen, the drains, the trash bins. She cleaned thoroughly, top to bottom, but nothing explained it. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it vanished. Weeks passed and the smell returned, but this time it would appear without warning, linger for only a few minutes, then disappear again. No source and no explanation. But soon, the smell became the least of their fears. They would wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of loud, agonizing screams echoing through the house, screams that didn't belong to either of them. Religious crosses they had hung on their walls would slowly rotate and sometimes be found upside down by morning, something many believe is a deliberate sign of mockery or defiance towards symbols of protection. Other nights, someone would knock on the front door, slow and deliberate, but when they opened it, no one was there. and sometimes multiple doors would slam violently at the same time, as if something unseen was moving freely through every room, like this.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
After that night, they were shaken enough to temporarily leave the house. They stayed away, trying to convince themselves it could be explained, but deep down, they knew something had changed. During that time away, the husband came to a disturbing realization. He remembered a visit he had made months earlier to an abandoned Catholic church, a place locals avoided. He recalled feeling uneasy while inside, hearing faint noises behind him, and feeling as if he wasn't alone. At the time, he dismissed it as imagination, but now, seeing what was happening in his home, he began to wonder if something had followed him back. But the next video he shared complicated that theory even further. For several nights, he began hearing faint music somewhere inside the house. After searching room after room, tearing the house apart trying to find the source, he finally discovered where it was coming from. Watch.
I don't know if it's exactly or it's this specific thing, but after playing with it, I did notice it, that it was this doll. So that doll that I have here on my 666 chair, right, has been making some weird sound. Now, what kind of sounds or who could have been provoking the doll, right? But if you listen to this, on the back of this doll, there's actually a latch, which is right there. So that latch there, if you spin it, it will make some sound. I will show you. So this doll here, if you take the outside rank right here, twist it, and I won't twist it too much, but look. And that is the same exact sound I was hearing. Now y'all, let me tell you something. I'm not sure what's activating this or what's causing it to sing, but tonight I will let this GoPro go live for the rest of the night. See what is provoking this to sing. The thing is that when I come out of my room right there, this thing stops singing.
The doll was the kind that only plays music when its latch is manually turned, so this raised a far more disturbing possibility. Some believe objects, especially dolls, can act as vessels. Unlike other objects, dolls resemble human forms, giving entities something easier to attach to, something easier to manipulate, but others believe something even darker may already be inside the house itself, something using the doll not as a home, but as a tool. So he set up cameras because he wanted proof. Watch. Some viewers believe the doll itself may now be the focal point, acting as a host for whatever entered the home. Others believe the activity started long before the doll, and whatever is in the house is simply using it to make its presence known in a way the family cannot ignore. And the fact that crosses are turning upside down only deepens the fear, because in many documented cases, entities believed to be malevolent will deliberately target religious symbols as a way of asserting dominance over the space and those living inside it. But until more footage is shared, this terrifying case remains unsolved. This next video was recorded by Nate, a man whose home has become the center of a long and deeply unsettling series of events that have only grown more aggressive over time. For months, Nate has documented objects moving on their own, utensils being thrown without warning, and disembodied whispers that seem to come from nowhere. His kitchen, in particular, has become the focal point of the activity, a place where things don't simply fall. They are thrown, as if something unseen is deliberately trying to make its presence known. Over time, viewers who have followed his story have watched the escalation. It began with small disturbances, soft taps, subtle movements, things easily dismissed. But soon, knives and scissors were thrown across the room, not dropped, not knocked over, but launched with force. The kind of force that suggests intention. One morning, his dog began acting restless, pacing, staring toward the kitchen, reacting to something Nate couldn't see. Moments later, a loud bang shattered the silence, and for someone who hadn't known peace in his home for months, his reaction wasn't finding a logical explanation, it was investigating.
Alright, so I just heard something. I don't know where it was coming from, either the basement or the kitchen. I'm not sure where, but it sounded like a bang or something. The dog is reacting to it, so not sure what that was. Is that the wall? I don't know what that was. What the fuck? Okay, those were there. Door's locked.
From the right side of the kitchen, something suddenly flies through the air. You can see the metal object clearly, reflecting light as it travels across the kitchen before crashing violently into the sink. What makes this moment especially disturbing is the fact that this isn't the first time. So, is whatever that's in the house only trying to scare him, or is it testing how far it can go? This time, it wasn't just the movement that unsettled viewers, it was the sound. Some people who turned their volume all the way up toward the end of the clip claim they heard a faint whisper, a single word, "Daddy." And then, on another Sunday morning, something even more disturbing was captured. Watch.
When you're sitting on a Sunday morning, having a cup of coffee, and you see all I can describe is a dark smoke or mist or cloud or something come up the basement stairs and move into the kitchen. Back door is locked. Both locks. It came up from the basement. Like right down there. Hello?
This time, whispers can be heard, but most people couldn't make out the exact words. Some listeners claim the first whisper says, "Why don't you like me?" followed later by, "Can't you hear me?" If true, those words change everything. And once again, it happens in the kitchen. This has led some viewers to speculate that whatever is present may be tied specifically to that location. Some believe it could be the spirit of someone connected to the house's past, possibly someone who once lived there, someone who felt ignored, abandoned, or unseen. Others believe it could be something far darker, something pretending to sound vulnerable in order to gain sympathy and attention. But I'll leave you to be the judge. Now, in this next clip, a man decides to record the terrifying things he experiences anytime he stays late at work alone. What makes his situation especially unsettling is the pattern he has noticed over time. According to him, the activity never happens during the day when the office is full, never when people are moving around or making noise. It only begins when everyone has left, when the building becomes quiet, empty, and still. Some nights he heard faint tapping sounds coming from inside the office itself, like fingers lightly drumming on wood, and over time he started to feel watched.
Kalau masuk, nggak usah main-main pintu. Tutup lagi nyamuknya. Ngapain? Ya Allah, makin iseng aja lah. Astagfirullahaladzim. Udah dulu yang bagus. Hey.
The door slowly creaks open on its own, then something even more disturbing appears. A face. Moments like this are especially disturbing because they suggest that whatever is causing this isn't somewhere far away, it's right there, inside the room, moving within his space. The following clip was captured by a lady's security camera. One morning, while going through her movement notifications from the night before, she noticed an alert triggered at a strange hour, a time when she was certain everyone in the house was asleep and nothing should have been moving. Curious, she opened the footage, and what she saw immediately gave her chills. Watch. A shadow slowly pops out by the door and doesn't fully reveal itself. It peeks carefully, like something was checking if the area was clear before stepping out. What makes this especially disturbing is the fact that she doesn't have any pets, nothing that could have created a shadow of that size or shape, and no one else had access to the house that night. Viewers later asked for more context, so she shared the full video. Watch. The first thing that came to some people's minds was a rat. But isn't it too big to be a rat? I'd leave you to be the judge on this one. This next video was sent in by a lady's cousin who had recently installed a motion detecting security camera in her basement, mainly as a precaution, never expecting it would capture something that would leave her questioning what might be inside her home when she isn't there. According to her, no one was at home at the time, nothing that should have triggered the alert. So when she received a motion notification coming from the basement, a place no one had entered that entire day, she immediately felt uneasy. Still, she opened the footage. Have a look. She believes the white object might be a dryer sheet, especially since the washer and dryer are positioned to the left of the frame. But what makes this difficult to explain is the fact that there is no draft down there. The basement windows are made of sealed glass cubes that cannot be opened, meaning there is no clear airflow that could push something that deliberately across the floor. But what truly terrified her wasn't just the movement, it was the sound. If you listen closely, faint footsteps can be heard, slow and heavy, followed by a low growling or rumbling noise, something deep, something unnatural, something that doesn't sound like it belongs in an empty basement. And again, there was nobody home at the time. Some believe entities prefer lower levels of homes because they are quieter, more isolated, easier to occupy without being disturbed. Others believe growling sounds are especially concerning, often linked in paranormal reports to entities that are not passive, not harmless, but aware, territorial, and capable of interacting with their environment. So now, if no one was home, what exactly triggered the camera? Now in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his investigation inside the infamous Blackford County Jail, a location widely regarded as one of the most feared and talked about haunted buildings in the state of Indiana. This time, Ian decides to explore one of the most avoided parts of the building, the attic. According to local rumors and previous investigators, this attic is believed to be haunted by the spirit of a young girl, an entity said to appear unexpectedly and interact with objects left behind. So Ian brings along a few trigger objects, including a stuffed animal, hoping to encourage communication. Watch.
Here, that was hung from this. Whoa. Dude, I think I just saw an orb fly by that thing. If that was you, could you do that again? Were you hung here? Were you executed here? Dude. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. Dude, that thing is swaying back and forth. I can't believe that. Dude, it's literally just started swaying back and forth. Dude, now it's slowing down. It stopped. Dude.
As he scans the attic, something unusual begins to happen. Near an old noose hanging from the ceiling, a faint orb appears, hovering close to it. At first it seems subtle, almost easy to miss, but then the noose itself begins to swing. Many paranormal investigators believe objects like nooses can carry heavy emotional residue, especially in places where suffering or death may have occurred, making them potential focal points for spiritual energy. But what happens next is even harder to explain. Watch.
I can't stay up here. I can't. I can barely see, my freaking flashlight's dying too. Alright. I've had enough. I'm sorry, little girl. Thank you.
From somewhere in the darkness, the stuffed animal he placed earlier is suddenly thrown to the floor. Unfortunately, he didn't capture the exact moment, but moments later, Ian captures something even more disturbing. Listen carefully. A faint giggle echoes from the darkness, and it sounds like a little girl giggling. It's often warned that childlike laughter in haunted locations may not always be what it seems, as some believe certain entities imitate children to appear harmless and lower a person's guard. Until more investigations reveal the truth, what Ian captured inside that attic remains one of the most chilling and unexplained moments inside the Blackford County Jail, For more haunting videos, including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following clip was captured by Amanda, who's had some of the strangest encounters inside her home. About 2 weeks after she moved in, she woke up one morning to shocking news. A body had been found in her backyard. And according to Amanda, ever since that day, the house hasn't felt the same. Have a look.
I am freaked the f out. I just got home, and tell me why my chairs are like this. Like, what the f? I literally still have my coat on. I come walking through the fucking... Oh my god. I'm like shaking right now. I just went and dropped my daughter off to her dad's house. And all the chairs were around the table. What the f? Oh my god. I need to call my mom.
Chairs don't end up like this by accident, and this is not something caused by drafts, pets, or structural shifts. In paranormal discussions, this kind of activity is often linked to an intelligence trying to be noticed, especially when the setup is visually striking rather than destructive. Since then, Amanda says doors open on their own, lights flicker and malfunction, and the house feels different, heavier, quieter, like something is always just out of view. Some believe the discovery of the body may have triggered residual energy tied to trauma, while others think the attention and disturbance surrounding the property may have awakened something that was already there. Skeptics argue stress and fear can heighten awareness, making ordinary issues feel sinister, but others point out that recurring physical changes, especially ones involving multiple objects, are harder to dismiss. Now, Amanda just wants to know one thing. Is there a chance this all has a normal explanation? Or is this a situation that requires real intervention before it escalates? What do you think? This next video was captured by a family's security camera, installed after everyone in the house woke up to a loud bang in the middle of the night, followed by several other unsettling incidents they couldn't explain. Hoping to catch whatever was happening, they set up cameras. Take a look. Aside from the obvious breathing sound, viewers immediately notice something else. On the right side of the screen, along the staircase, something moved. When the family reviewed this footage, it made other moments fall into place. Just weeks earlier, the sister of one of the couples living here called her and asked what she was doing standing on her front porch. Now here's the problem. She wasn't home. She was at work, nowhere near the house. But the anxiety in the house escalated when the family noticed their dogs reacting. Watch this.
Connor! Knock it off! Hey! Barking at the door again. No one's there. Go on that quick. No one's there, honey. Nobody's here. It's all good. It's all good in the hood.
The dog repeatedly barks at the door, staring at it with focus. Not playful, not distracted, but locked in, as if responding to something it can sense but humans can't. Animals are often said to react to subtle changes in energy, sound frequencies, or presence long before people do. And when pets fixate on empty spaces, doors, or corners, many believe it's because something unseen has crossed into our world. And if you look at the activities they've experienced, the breathing caught on camera, the movement on the stairs, the mimic sighting on the porch, and the dogs reacting, this no longer feels like a single incident. It feels like a pattern. So could this be heightened anxiety and coincidence? Or is something inside the house slowly making itself known, watching, copying, and waiting? You decide. Now, in this next video, Nate, who's been trying to get to the bottom of whatever is happening inside his house, captures something new on camera. By now, his experiences follow a disturbing pattern. He wakes up to objects scattered across his kitchen floor, his dog refuses to enter certain corners of the house, and the sound of footsteps moving along the stairs when no one else is home. One night, while waiting for a UFC fight to start, he begins hearing something unusual. Listen closely.
Guys, I want you guys to check this out. So, I'm just chilling here, waiting for the UFC fights to start. Dog's there. And I'm just sitting here. I was re-racking my weights. And I was hearing the scratching. And it sounded like it was coming from like right in front of me. But I don't see anything. Like, up. I heard it. But I was like looking. And it sounded like it was coming from like... You hear that? What the f*** is that? It sounded like it was coming from like right in front here, but... I don't see anything else. What the f***? Like, I have no clue.
Hearing scratching or dragging sounds can mean something is trying to mark territory or test physical boundaries, especially when it happens repeatedly in the same areas of a home. Another detail viewers couldn't ignore is Nate's environment. His house is almost always dark. Many believe prolonged darkness, cluttered spaces, and low lighting can make activity feel stronger, either by heightening fear or, according to paranormal belief, by creating conditions where negative entities feel more comfortable. Another night, a different sound woke him. This time, it wasn't scratching, it was stomping, and when Nate got up to check the house, this happened.
Hey guys. So I was upstairs and was woken up to the sound of stomping down here. I mean, loud stomping. It is currently 2:52 a.m. So it's a little before 3 a.m. And the weird thing about it is when I woke up to the sound of the stomping, the dog was sleeping, not even alerted. It's almost like she couldn't hear it. So soon as I came down, I walked into like a cold spot. Felt like a certain area was cold. But it was loud. It was such a loud stomp. Like I said, it's 2:50, 3 a.m.
Scratching, stomping, footsteps, all familiar at this point. But what truly unsettled him was something else entirely. His dog didn't react. Normally, animals respond instantly to loud physical sounds, yet during the stomping, his dog remained unusually calm, as if it either couldn't hear it or didn't perceive it the same way Nate did. Some believe the dog may have already learned to avoid reacting, but this concern quickly became secondary. Because the next morning, Nate woke up to something far more disturbing: scratches on his body. If this had happened once, it's easy to say he accidentally scratched himself while he was asleep, a reaction to fabric, even stress-related skin irritation. But it didn't stop. It kept happening. And on the morning after the stomping incident, he recorded this. Watch.
So the people that were asking for a better view of the scratch that I woke up with on my leg. Here it is. Like I said, it's not super deep, but it goes down pretty far. And I also noticed on the opposite side, I have two here on the same leg, but on the opposite side, that I woke up this morning with. Now, these ones didn't burn as bad as this one. This one was 2 mornings ago when I woke up. This burned, and I looked down and saw that. And then this morning when I got up at like 2:30 a.m., I woke up to stomping downstairs. And it wasn't until after I worked out and everything that I noticed these. So, yeah, that's the update.
As Nate shows the marks on his body, many viewers begin connecting everything. The scratching sounds at night, the dragging noises, the stomping footsteps, and now physical marks appearing while he sleeps. This points to something more than a simple house haunting. Physical interaction, especially repeated scratching, is often cited in cases involving attachments rather than locations. Some believe this points towards something escalating, moving from environmental disturbances to personal interaction. Others think whatever is in the house may be trying to assert control, feeding on fear, isolation, or even exhaustion. And the most disturbing part, the activity isn't random anymore. It's consistent, and it's getting closer. So whether it's an attachment, an oppressive presence, or something feeding off the darkness and silence, one thing is clear. Whatever this is, it's no longer staying in the shadows. And until Nate gets answers, this case remains deeply unsettling and completely unsolved. In the following video, a woman's first son is home alone, quietly watching TV when he suddenly hears someone call his name. At first, he doesn't think much of it, until he responds and hears the voice again. This time, it sounds exactly like his little brother. Watch.
Hola. ¿Quién es?
Soy yo. ¿Tú? ¿Quieres jugar a la pelota?
Pero la Chu no se había ido al médico con mi madre. ¡Hijo de p***!
Hola, Michael. No, si la Chu está acá en el médico, estamos en el médico acá, vamos a demorar un poco para llegar. No estamos en casa.
The confusion sets in immediately. His brother isn't home, he's at the hospital with their mother, waiting to see a doctor. so there's no possible reason for his voice to be inside the house. But many viewers believe he didn't handle the situation well when he responded. In paranormal folklore, responding to a voice you can't verify is often considered a mistake, especially when the voice belongs to someone who physically isn't there. Many believe mimics rely on acknowledgement, and once you answer, you're confirming awareness, opening the door for further interaction. That's why one of the most repeated rules in cases like this is simple: don't respond, don't investigate, and don't follow the voice. As for what this could be, most people landed on two possibilities: a mimic or a doppelganger. And while the terms are often used interchangeably online, there's an important difference. A mimic imitates voices to provoke a response. It doesn't need to be seen. It feeds on confusion and fear, using familiar voices to draw someone in, often calling names or repeating phrases. Also, it's usually heard before it's ever seen, if it's seen at all. A doppelganger, on the other hand, is typically visual. It's believed to appear as a full physical copy of a person, seen walking, standing, or watching, sometimes even interacting briefly before disappearing. Doppelgangers are less about sound and more about presence. In this case, there's no figure, no visual confirmation, just a voice, perfectly copied, calling out from inside the house. That leans heavily toward a mimic, and once a voice knows you'll answer, it rarely stops calling. So which was it? You decide. Now, in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his investigation inside the infamous Boyd house. At this point, he's still inside the room with the haunted painting, the same room where the power mysteriously died the moment the artwork was brought in. Earlier, Ian heard a heavy dragging sound echo through the room. Most people would have left immediately, but Ian didn't. Instead of backing out, he stayed put and began slowly scanning the room, hoping to capture something. Watch closely.
See if anyone's out in the hallway here. Oh my god. Calm down. Oh, calm down. That sounded like a growl. And worst of all, it came from that closet that I was just in. Okay. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh, whoa, what the hell is that? Dude, what the oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, I'm ready to get the hell out of here. There's something in there. There's something in there.
Aside from the low, unsettling growl that can be heard, something far more disturbing appears on his thermal camera. When you look closer, the shape resembles a distorted human face, and this room has a long history of activity. Ever since that painting arrived, the disturbances seem to center there. No electricity, sudden noises, and now, a possible manifestation. Many believe cursed objects can act as anchors, giving something a place to attach itself, feed from, and eventually show itself. If that's true, then this raises an unsettling question. Was this the first time the entity tied to the painting allowed itself to be seen? Or has it always been there, just waiting for someone to stay long enough to notice it? For more haunting videos, including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following video was recorded by a man named Isaac, who recently moved into a house that has been passed down through several generations of his family. On the surface, it seems like a typical old home. Quiet, somewhat isolated, and filled with the kind of history that comes with buildings that have stood for decades. But once you learn what happened there long before Isaac arrived, the story begins to feel far more unsettling. The original owner of the house was a war veteran. After returning from combat, he reportedly struggled heavily with PTSD, and family members say there were nights when he would suddenly leave the house and hide outside, convinced he was hearing noises coming from a small shed in the backyard. He insisted something was in there, something moving and sometimes watching. Over time, his fear of that shed grew so intense that he eventually refused to go anywhere near it. Even during the daytime, he would avoid walking past it. Years later, Isaac says that same shed is the one place on the property that never feels right. From his bedroom window, he claims he has occasionally seen figures moving inside it. Other nights, he hears loud banging coming from the shed door, like something inside is trying to force its way out. One morning, while recording a video to answer questions from viewers about the house, something strange happened. Watch this.
I've been seeing all the comments, I've been seeing all the questions, and I wanted to make a video to answer those questions for you guys now. It's about 5:30, 5:45 in the morning. I can't sleep. So I figured, why not, right? So on to the first question. What happened to the video? Y'all hear that, right? Like that. Y'all see that?
If you look closely at the window behind him, a white figure briefly appears, then suddenly moves out of sight. And not long after that, something else happens. The door slowly opens on its own, even though no one else is there. Moments like that made viewers even more curious about the shed itself, so many began asking Isaac to go inside and check it out. Watch this.
Okay, so you guys have been asking me to take you in the shed and leave the phone in there. And I know it's been a little while since I put out a video regarding the shed, but a lot has been happening and I just needed, truly needed some time. So I took it, but just to show you, it is locked, okay? And I'm going to immediately, no cuts, as per usual. Okay, so we are walking into, God, these dolls are creepy. We're gonna walk in, well, not walk in, but we're in here now. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and set this up. You guys got a good view, right? Windows, everything. All right, I guess I'll catch y'all. I'm out.
While Isaac is filming, a noise suddenly comes from one of the plastic containers, a sound that almost resembles a doll shifting or trying to move inside the box. Isaac later confirmed that when he checked afterward, there was a doll that wasn't inside its box. And if you're wondering, where did all those dolls come from? It turns out the granddaughter who now owns the property has a deep love for collecting dolls. Over the years, she filled the shed with them, hoping to eventually pass the collection down to her children. But after Isaac posted that video, viewers wanted more proof of what might be happening inside the shed. So they asked him to record another clip, this time from a different angle. Watch this.
And just so you know, because somebody actually said in the video yesterday, of course it happens from behind the camera. That's what's behind the camera, okay? Solid wall. That's what's behind the camera, okay? Okay. I'm out. that wasn't supposed to happen. Maybe I should close the door softer next time. Let's go ahead and try that again. Okay? I'm gonna close it softly this time. Lord have mercy.
Isaac had already left the shed, yet something was moving inside. Some viewers believe the shed could be tied to the trauma of the veteran who once lived there, a place where fear and distress lingered long after he passed away. Others think the dolls themselves may be acting like vessels, objects capable of holding or attracting energy. Despite how uneasy it made him feel, Isaac kept receiving messages asking him to go back to the shed again, with many people claiming the activity probably only happened during the daytime. But that assumption turned out to be wrong. Watch this. This time, whatever might be inside becomes far more active. Objects begin shifting around the room and things scatter across the floor. Some viewers claim they can hear faint breathing sounds in the background, while others believe they hear a voice quietly saying "help" or possibly let me out, while another sound resembles someone saying get out. Ever since Halloween, Isaac says every single night he hears sounds coming from the shed, noises that suggest something inside is moving things around. So each morning he wakes up to see this. Watch this.
This is what I come into every single day. Y'all ask me why the shed. Look at this, dolls knocked over, turned around. Baseboards moved. Not baseboards, drywall moved, bed knocked over, powder all over the floor. This is what I come into every single day. You guys ask me why is the shed cleaned every single time I walk in here? It's because every single day I wake up, I have to come in and clean it because it's a mess. This is a regular occurrence. So you guys are gonna watch my morning routine. Somebody said lay it like this so you get a wider angle. I have a clip on the back, so there's no way. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. I don't. So let's maybe from here. Oh. Okay, it's about as open as a shot as I can get because I have to. Somebody said they don't have the energy to do this. Man, it's freezing out here. It's like 20-something degrees here in South Carolina, and I'm out here having to yet once again pick all this shit up. God, I'm freezing. Even the foam mattress is solid. Good God almighty. Back in the days when I used to wrestle, I used to pray for
While he's sweeping and talking about the temperature in the area, a voice can be heard quietly saying, "Who's there?" Another detail also caught viewers' attention. Many people said that simply looking at that object gave them a strange, uncomfortable feeling. Several viewers even asked Isaac to investigate where it came from and why it was inside the shed in the first place. For now though, Isaac hasn't found any clear explanation, so until more details come out, that shed in the backyard remains a mystery. This next video was recorded by Nate, a man many viewers already recognize because of the strange activity that has been happening inside his home for quite some time now. Recently, people began digging deeper into his past and discovered that he used to work in a cemetery. And ever since that detail came out, some viewers have started linking the disturbances in his house to something he may have unknowingly brought back with him from that job. Whether that connection is real or not is impossible to prove, but the things happening inside his home have definitely kept people talking. One morning, Nate was simply going about his routine when he suddenly heard knocking coming from his back door. At first it sounded normal, like someone politely tapping to get his attention. Naturally, he walked over to check who might be outside, but when he got there, this happened.
So I just thought I heard somebody knocking on my back door, but I looked out there and I saw nothing, so seems like the dog heard it too. Hello? It sounds like it's coming from the back door. It's locked. There's nobody there. What the hell? I don't understand this. What the hell was that? Hello? I don't understand.
The knocking can clearly be heard, yet when Nate enters the kitchen, there's no one standing there. And if you listen carefully in the background of the clip, something else can be heard. A faint whisper that many viewers believe sounds like a woman's voice. This isn't the first time people have pointed out strange voices in Nate's recordings either. In several of his previous videos, viewers claimed to hear quiet murmurs or soft responses when Nate called out into empty rooms. Because of this, some people have started advising him to stop reacting to the activity altogether, saying that acknowledging it might only encourage whatever is causing it. But if we're being honest, that's a lot easier said than done. Imagine hearing someone knock on your door and simply ignoring it, especially when you're already dealing with things like waking up with unexplained scratches on your body, objects suddenly flying across the room, and sharp items being thrown around your home when no one else is there. At that point, curiosity and fear would probably make anyone want to check what's going on. Some viewers believe the whispers might be a form of electronic voice phenomenon, brief sounds that sometimes appear in recordings even when no one is speaking nearby. But considering everything Nate claims has been happening around him, the moment in this clip feels difficult to ignore. Whether this is connected to Nate's past work, something attached to the house itself, or something else entirely. For now, the situation remains unresolved. The following footage dates back to 2022 and was captured by a CCTV camera late at night, when the area was supposed to be completely quiet. Take a look. If you focus on the right side of the screen near the gate, you'll notice something unusual. A dark shape suddenly moves and then it disappears just as fast as it appeared. At first glance, many people suggested the most logical explanation: a camera glitch. Security cameras sometimes struggle in low light, especially when there's sudden movement, insects flying close to the lens, or changes in lighting that cause strange shadows to form. And in many cases, those explanations make perfect sense. But then, there are those who take the mystery a little further. Across many ancient cultures, there are stories suggesting that humans may not be the only beings that walk this world. Folklore from different parts of the world often speaks about shadowy figures, entities that appear briefly, moving along the edges of visibility, rarely staying long enough to be clearly seen. Some legends describe them as spirits passing between places. Others believe they could be remnants of something older, something that exists alongside us but rarely crosses fully into our world. Of course, there's no way to confirm anything like that from a single clip, but when a shape appears out of nowhere, moves like something alive, and then vanishes without a trace, it's hard not to wonder what exactly passed by. So was that a glitch, someone's shadow, or something else entirely? I'll leave that one for you to decide. Now in this next video, a man who has openly shared that he lives with severe schizophrenia decided to do something unusual. Because he often experiences things that others can't see, he started recording parts of his home at night, hoping the camera might help him figure out whether what he was seeing were hallucinations or something else entirely. One night, something strange happened and he caught it on camera. Seeing this, the man initially assumes it's just another hallucination, something his mind is creating. In the past, he developed a small trick to test whether something was real or not. Whenever he saw something unusual, he would open and close the drapes or change the lighting in the room, which usually helped make the vision disappear. So he tries the same thing again. He opens and closes the curtains, expecting the movement to stop. But this time, it doesn't. To this day, no one has been able to say with certainty what caused the movement that night. The following video is a chilling reminder of why kids shouldn't be left alone outside at night. A young girl who had always dreamed of becoming a content creator decided to film herself at a park not far from her house. It was quiet, familiar, and felt safe, so she set up her camera, excited to record her video. But while she was focused on creating, something else was already there, watching and waiting in silence. Watch.
Acompáñenme a grabar en una plaza enorme. Bueno, no le demos importancia. Miren, toda la plaza. Ahora voy a poner el trípode aquí para que, bueno. Hay alguien. Estaba, miren. Eso. O sea.
Shortly after she starts filming, she notices a figure standing far off in the distance. At first, she tries to ignore it, convincing herself it's probably just someone passing by. But then, the figure moves, suddenly appearing in a different position. This time, it has her full attention. And then, it waves at her. The distance, the silence, the way it moves, none of it feels right, so she quickly decides to hide.
Uy, hay una persona y tengo... Ahí viene, chicos. Bueno, chicos, estoy aquí adentro, pero... Chicos... Voy a limpiarle un poquito la cámara.
What makes this even more disturbing is that she didn't hear footsteps, no sound of movement, yet somehow, whoever, or whatever that figure is, continues getting closer, moving unnaturally fast between positions. And then, it appears right in front of her.
Chicos, tengo mucho miedo. Chicos. Literalmente había una persona persiguiéndome. Chicos, entré abajo de la estructura en donde estaba el muñeco ese. Ay no, chicos, tengo mucho miedo. Se agacha. Chicos, desapareció. Se escuchan pasos arriba. Aquí abajo tengo mucho miedo.
Viewers were left deeply unsettled. Some believe it could be a shadow entity, something known to observe from a distance before approaching. Others say entities like this often appear in isolated places, especially at night, drawn to people who are alone and vulnerable. What troubles people most is how quickly it moved, and how silently it closed the distance, but to some, it was staged, or a prank. But I'll leave you to be the judge on this one. In this next clip, a man who works at a warehouse had been dealing with things he couldn't explain for weeks. It started small, hearing footsteps in empty aisles long after his coworkers had gone home. Sometimes he'd hear the sound of boxes shifting, like someone was moving inventory in the distance, but every time he checked, nothing was out of place. There were nights when he felt watched, especially near the back storage area where the lights didn't reach as well, and more than once, he heard what sounded like breathing behind him. Slow, quiet, only for the space behind him to be completely empty. One night during his shift, he decided to start recording, and that's when he caught this. Watch.
Quiero que chequen algo en esa tarima de ahí. Eso. Y chequen, estoy yo solo.
A figure passes by in the distance, but the moment he looks directly at where it should be, There's no one there. Some believe this could be what's known as a residual presence, something tied to the location itself, replaying movements over and over like a recording trapped in time. Others believe it could be something more aware, something that moves when it knows it isn't being watched directly. What makes this especially unsettling is how often warehouses become the center of stories like this. Large, quiet places where people have worked alone for years, sometimes leaving behind more than memories. But until he shares more footage or finds answers, whatever passed through that warehouse that night remains a mystery. Now, in this next video, a family's youngest daughter had been saying something that deeply unsettled them. On several nights, she would complain that someone was tickling her neck while she lay in bed. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. Each time, she would quickly turn around expecting to see someone standing behind her, and every single time, there was no one there. At first, her parents assumed it was imagination, the kind children sometimes have when they're half asleep. But the consistency of it and the fear in her voice when she described it made them take it seriously. So they installed cameras in the living room and in the upstairs hallway, positioned directly toward her bedroom door, hoping to finally understand what she was experiencing, and then one day they caught this. Watch. In the footage, the girl suddenly reacts like something was touching her. But what makes this moment even harder to explain is that no one else is there. No sibling, no parent, and nothing visible that could have caused that reaction. Some viewers who slowed the footage down claim they could see something sitting very close to her, a faint shape moving beside her before she reacts. Paranormal researchers often warn that physical interaction, especially repeated touch, is one of the most personal and invasive forms of activity. It suggests intent, awareness, something that isn't just present, but actively engaging. And when it targets a child, it raises even more concern, because children are believed to be more sensitive and more open to things adults may not notice. What makes this situation more difficult is that the family doesn't believe moving would solve it. Many people who've gone through similar experiences say activity like this can follow the person, not the place, which means leaving the house might not mean leaving it behind. Right now, the family is searching for answers, ways to protect their daughter and understand why whatever this is seems focused on her. Until then, this remains unsolved. In this next clip, a woman had been living alone with her dog when she began noticing things she couldn't explain. Doors she clearly remembered closing would be slightly open later. Her dog would stand in the hallway, staring into empty space, sometimes whining, sometimes wagging its tail like it saw someone familiar. At night, she would hear light footsteps moving past her bedroom. Not heavy, not aggressive, but soft, like someone small walking barefoot through the house. More than once, she woke up convinced she heard movement just outside her door. Eventually, the feeling became too constant to ignore. She installed cameras around the house, hoping to prove to herself that nothing was really there. But instead, she captured this. Watch. First, the door slowly opens by itself, then something far more disturbing happens. Something peeks out, and this time, she sees something. The shape is small, and for a brief moment, it appears to resemble the apparition of a child standing there. This is where things become deeply unsettling. Child apparitions are often described as appearing harmless at first, small, quiet, non-threatening. But many paranormal researchers warn that not everything that appears as a child truly is one. Some entities are believed to take on innocent forms to lower fear, to gain comfort, and to remain unnoticed longer. What makes this even more disturbing is the behavior itself, peeking from behind doors, observing instead of immediately interacting. After seeing this footage, she didn't hesitate. She packed her things, took her dog, and left the house. She later said she wouldn't return until she found someone who could help her understand what she captured, and more importantly, how to make it stop. So what do you think she was dealing with? Now in this next clip, another family is going through something that has slowly turned their home into a place of constant fear. Their young son has been reacting in ways they can't explain. Some nights he runs out of his room saying someone poked him. Other times he wakes up with small marks on his body and points at empty walls, quietly saying, "He did it." At first they thought it was nightmares, imagination, or something he would grow out of. But as the weeks passed, the incidents became more frequent and more physical. It got bad to the extent that sleep became difficult, not just for him, but for the entire family. One night, while they were all asleep, another episode began. Watch. You can see how the boy shifts under the blanket as his feet bend unnaturally, then, suddenly, the blanket lifts like something grabbed it. The little boy immediately wakes up crying and shouting that someone pulled his foot. So to calm him down, his mother tells him she was the one who did it, hoping it would ease his fear. But deep down, she knew she hadn't even left her side of the bed. Later, when they reviewed the CCTV footage, the truth became impossible to ignore. There was no one else in the room, and yet something clearly interacted with him. Encounters like this are often described as direct physical interaction, one of the most disturbing forms of reported paranormal activity, especially when it involves children. Some believe entities target younger individuals because they're more sensitive, more open, and less resistant to their presence. The fact that the boy had already been feeling touches, being poked, and pointing to empty spaces makes this moment feel less like a single incident, and more like something that had been building over time. For the family, the fear isn't just what happened that night, it's the possibility that it could happen again. In this next video, Nate documents yet another disturbing escalation inside his home, and by this point, whatever he's dealing with has gone far beyond subtle or easy to dismiss activity. For those unfamiliar with his story, Nate has spent months trying to understand what's happening in his house. Footsteps moving through rooms when he was alone, objects not staying where he left them, his dog, once comfortable in every part of the house, suddenly refusing to go near certain corners and staring into empty space, growling at nothing. But then things got worse. He began waking up with scratches on his body he couldn't explain, and there was this constant, heavy feeling, like something was moving through the house. Then, one day, he heard knocking coming from the basement, so he did what most people wouldn't have the courage to do. He went to check. And that's when this happened. Watch.
I made my way down to the basement. So I was hearing knocking coming from down here. I don't see anything. The knocking sounded like it was coming from right around here somewhere, because I was in the kitchen and I felt it in my feet.
That voice didn't sound welcoming, and this isn't the first time whispers have appeared in his videos. Many people who followed Nate's story believe this could be something establishing presence, moving from passive signs like footsteps and object movement into direct communication. Now, this raises a much more serious question. If it's already speaking, what does it want from him? The following video was captured by a woman who believes something in her home has taken a disturbing interest in her 2 children. For months, she had been noticing things she couldn't explain. Her daughter would suddenly wake up in the middle of the night, crying and pointing toward corners of their room. Sometimes she refused to sleep altogether, insisting someone was standing near their bed watching them, and more than once, toys would occasionally end up in places no one remembered moving them to. She tried to convince herself it was nothing, but one night, her camera captured something she couldn't ignore. Watch this. She doesn't own any pets, and yet you can clearly see what looks like a tiny hand yank the cord. Some believe this could be the spirit of a child, entities that are often described as curious, drawn to other children, and capable of interacting with physical objects. But others warn that appearances can be misleading. There are countless cases where something presents itself as small or harmless, only to gain comfort and access to a family's space. But what makes this especially unsettling is the focus on the children. The activity isn't random, it's centered on their room, their belongings, and their beds. The mother says she wants to believe she's only being paranoid, but after watching this footage, it's hard not to ask, is this just fear playing tricks on her mind, or is something actually reaching out to her kids? I'll let you decide.